Yo, what's up? My name is Sean Keys, and I got my homies here, Nick Mercadale and Reggie Nicholas, and we're producers from here in the New Orleans area, and we're here to introduce you to the Forum. This video series will highlight the variations of the arts. You'll hear some of the ups and the downs and everything that we experience. Hopefully the information that we share here will be able to help you along your journey.
Welcome to the Forum. My name is Dr. Darrell Dickerson. I'm here at the Ellis Marcellus Center for Music in the Ninth Ward of New Orleans. And today we're hosting the Producers Edition of the Forum. Today we have three young men who are going to share their experience with you. They're going to talk about how to produce a record. They're going to talk about the problems of producing a record. They're going to tell you the things that you need to know when you're going into the recording studio. Stay tuned. It's going to change the way you think about producing your music.
Okay, so let me ask you the question. Let's, for our audience's sake, let's define, tell me your definition of super producer in today's market.
I'll let Reggie take that. Yeah.
So my definition of super producer would be the engineer that's also the producer of the music, that's also the vocal arranger, right. That's also the composer, the mixing engineer, the actual like full arranger of the stuff. Like a super producer basically is just in charge of everything, that does everything. Well, you know, in a normal studio we would have the guy that's going to go and patch our stuff for us, or go set these mics up, or you come in and you have your guy that's just going to engineer. Then you have your producer that's there, that's telling you what take to keep, that's telling you what no, I need this like this way. Could you add this reverb? Could you do this to it? That has what you call it. Super producer just wears basically all of the hats except for being the artist.
Right. Is that the new trend now with music, having a super producer as compared to just having a producer?
I think it's more efficient to do it that way, just because it's easier to paint your own vision in your mind. You don't have to, you know, kind of convey that out to a bunch of people. So you already know what kind of mic you want to use on this particular singer. You already know the direction of the song. You don't have to. I think it's just a shortcut to get to a goal quicker. Mm-hmm. Because you already know, like, I know how I want this song to sound. I know what kind of mic I'm gonna use on this singer. I know what kind of mics I'm gonna use on the backgrounds. I know how I want this to sound. I know what gear I'm gonna run this particular mic through to get this sound. I know, you know, so you already kind of know the whole process without having to get anybody else involved. It's a little bit more tedious and a little more stressful, but I mean, you know, I think it's worth it just at the end game of the whole record itself.
Yeah, and I think piggybacking off of that, I think the reason why is because it's easier to do. You ask if it's the trend now. The more you get and more people that's doing everything because of technology, like it's more accessible than it used to be. I think for myself, it's like, you know, it started out with having creative ideas and needing to find a way to get it done. You could pretty much learn how to do anything nowadays with the technology that's available, especially on YouTube. Especially just looking up a YouTube video, how to, right? Yeah, you're like for free. You know what I'm saying? So and it's not expensive. Where before you had to go to these, you know, $1 million labs and they paying these techs and all that kind of stuff. So those jobs were assigned already. But now you could have an idea, and in a day that song could be done. Yep. Mm-hmm. You know, so but you get efficient at that. And you can produce that same, you can do that same thing for other people, and you know.
Okay. He said something that caught my attention. As an audio person, every time I do a recording session, the first thing I tell them is that, you know, I'm not the producer. Mm-hmm. Okay. I'm the guy that's gonna push the buttons for you. Right. Okay. And I always try to emphasize to them, you know, get a producer, because you want that extra set of ears. You know, somebody that's going to say yeah and nay while you're doing a session. But you also mentioned another position up in that, vocal coach. I come across it quite often when I'm recording folks that sing flat, sing sharp, and they think because they can get away with that on a Sunday morning somewhere, it's okay. The style of singing that they sing live is not the style of singing you're going to sing in the studio.
Right.
You know. So how important is that vocal coach?
It's essential.
Yeah, it's very essential because again, like you stressed and you said, the way that you perform, the way that you articulate when you perform, the way that you deliver when you perform, is a totally different animal and beast when you get into the studio majority of the time. Because when you get in there, you really have to remember that. First off, articulation. The word that you might say for a grand crowd or something, you might say, I'll use, let's say, a gospel tip. Live, they might say it. But in the studio, in the context of the music, the vowel sound might need to change to more of a eh sound to stay with the continuity of the song and the actual movement. So, and it could be flipped, it could be vice versa. Versus also singing head tone, chest tone, singing from your diaphragm, falsetto, all of these things matter dynamically in the song. Because on a stage, it's what a lot of artists can't, to me, sometimes can't separate is that when you're here, you're really a visual performer.
Exactly.
The audio comes second for the most part. But when you get into the studio, I always tell artists, like, you should be able to listen to your song, close your eyes, and paint the picture for a blind person. They should be able to see everything. Like, you should be able to look at hear the song, see every emotion that this artist, this singer, this musician staff is going through. If you can't do that, it's pointless, because guess what? They're not going to see you in the studio. They're just going to take this music, put it in their car, put it on their phones, and listen to it. So how are they going to connect with it?
Right.
If all you're concerned about is the pitch, like we talked about.
And see, and another thing I think that's crippled. See, that's why I am very hard on singers. Anybody that I've worked with, you can ask them. I'm extremely hard on singers, probably more than the musicians. And I'm not a singer, I'm a musician, but I'm harder on the singers because we live in a society now, as it relates to records, that everybody thinks that auto-tune gonna fix anything. You could just fix that in the mix? No, there's no such thing as fixing it. Say, bro, I'm gonna tell you something. I had an opportunity to work with Chris Finney. As an engineer, and a lot of people from here know Chris. And there was one thing he said during a couple sessions that really stuck with me. He was like, bro, if it's trash going in, it's trash going out. It's like, and what he meant, exactly. Just like people say, if you could fix it in the mix, it's just gonna be shiny trash with reverb on it. And then he said, when you get to master it, it's gonna be louder trash. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, no, it's gotta get, when you going in, when you're going in, when you're recording it in, it has to be right. You can't figure, oh, I'm gonna just fix this note. Oh yeah, man, you was really feeling it, but that note was off. Like you say in church, like a lot of people, oh man, you know, you could just sing to the glory of God. Yeah, that's cool. We want to do that, especially if we're doing gospel music. We want to do that, but you gotta sing it right. You know what I'm saying? Because everybody's gotten on this tip. You know, let's just fix it with auto-tune.
How do you deal with the artists who feel as though that you making them sing this over and over, but he just trying to get more time out of me?
No.
Nah, first of all,
So how do you deal with that? Because they always watching the clock.
Right.
Always watching the clock. So as a producer, how do you deal with the artist? Secondly, how do you deal with the artists that feel that they've been hyped up so much as a great singer, and now you come along?
I get that a lot
and
too.
you breaking them down. So
I've been singing since I was 5 years old.
I'm gonna be honest. I think first of all, there's always a way to have a conversation.
Yep.
And I think if it's communicated and it's understood that we both want the same thing,
Right.
then their acceptance of what you're saying is, you know, like they'll be a lot more open to your suggestion. And then sometimes if it's the ones that just have the I've been killing all my life type of vibe, I'll let them sing it, and then we'll sit down and listen. You know what I'm saying? And then I can just point out, okay, right here, like you don't have to lead everything like, okay, now this was bad, you ain't doing this right, you're doing this wrong, it's like, okay, this right here, you know, where we did such and such and such, it might be a little better if we did such, let's go try it. We got your take the way you want to do it. All right, so now let's kind of just see if we could play with it a little bit. And then if they hear that it's better, they're usually open to whatever you have to say after that.
I'm pretty much like that. I'm hard on vocalists as well, but like I'm more of a example person.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
like I'll let you do what you say you do.
Right.
And then we'll come back and listen to that product. I'll let you do you. Let you be free. Now we're gonna come back and listen to it. And then we're gonna listen to what it could do or what it could be.
Exactly.
Now you have to, I mean, at the end of the day, this is another battle that we deal with as producers, super producers. We have to decide and like deal with the artist and say, hey, do you want this? And now with ourselves, we like, do we let this go like this because our name is attached to this? Our production is attached to this.
Yes.
So and that's why I get in that time. Usually I have to reiterate, hey, if you hired me to be the producer,
Exactly.
you hired me to ensure that your vision comes across to the masses in the correct way. So you should be able to understand what I'm saying and give me and understand that I have your best interests at heart. So what I'm going to give you or the task that I'm going to set before you is not going to be for your demise. It's for the best for everybody.
Right.
It's
You
about
know,
the song.
yeah,
Exactly.
It's not about you or me
Right.
specifically.
Right. It's nothing personal. It's
Right.
about the
Personal.
overall project. Now, one thing I will say, I'm still kind of old school on the slick. So I know Sean was saying about pitch, but if I could get emotion,
Oh yeah.
Oh, for
Oh
sure.
yeah. If there's certain things that you know you can
Listen,
fix. Yeah, absolutely.
there's a little friend of ours in the studio
Yeah,
that starts with the letter M,
Right.
that we like to use. Yeah, but yeah, I nudge you up a couple of cents.
So
nudge you
here's the
down.
thing though, and the reason why is because the live element is taken away, right? So the first thing that usually go when an artist come into the lab is that, the emotion, because they are used to the people and that's what's pulling it out of them.
Right.
So I agree with you. I would rather, now you can't be too off,
can't be
like,
off.
I mean, but yeah, the emotion is by far the thing that I'm really trying to capture.
So how do you make, as a producer, someone comes to you, say, I want to hire you to do this record for me. How do you make a concept come to life? Because you have to take a song that nobody never heard before and make it believable and come to life. So how do you do that as a producer?
I was just having this conversation on the way over here. It's something that I know I should have probably been doing in the past, but as of this year, this is something that I'm going to definitely implement, and I have done it in the past. But every record that I work on with an artist, especially if we're co-writing, we're going to sit down and have a conversation about the record, about, okay, you saying you want to talk about this. Okay, what have you experienced? Tell me how you got this concept, so you can share with me, so I can catch your vision for the record. So when I start working on composing this track, I know what it's supposed to sound like. Like I've recently watched some videos of some producers. They were talking about how a song was aggressive, and so if the topic was aggressive, I knew, like they knew, and I would know that, okay, this track needs to sound aggressive. I can't be going to put this beautiful Steinway piano part playing these melodious things over this track that's supposed to be aggressive. I gotta dig in and really, like, the kick need to be smacking. I need to have probably some overdrive guitar or something like that, something that's gonna make the track sound aggressive, because the ideas have to marry each other. Okay. They have to meet. So what I've started doing, and I've already text all the people that are in the pipeline, like, look, we're gonna sit down and have a conversation. Okay, if we're writing about this, we're gonna sit down, we're gonna listen to the track, and we're gonna talk about, okay, what do you want the song to say here? Because I even think that music instrumentally is supposed to speak in a record too, not just the vocals. Mm-hmm. You want the music to speak too. Like I was just watching this video last night. TD Jakes preached this sermon last Sunday about the power of the instrument. Of an instrument, and he was breaking down how each instrument has this different sound, and even if nobody's singing, it's supposed to still be saying something.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So I feel like it's the same way when you're approaching producing a record. Each thing has to say something, even when there's no vocals going on in a particular spot. It has to be saying something. So you got to marry those ideas together. The vision got to come together. So that's what I'm gonna be doing this year. I think that's the way to do it, though.
So how do you all avoid, if possible, writer's block? I mean, somebody come to you, you just finished a big project that's drained you of all right, and somebody knock on the door and say, look, I need you to produce this song. So how do you avoid the writer's block?
I don't know if it's avoidable. First of all, I think it's just you just gotta manage it. I think, go ahead.
He's right. This is not avoidable. You are going to hit it. You are going to hit it.
Especially in a situation like that. Like, you just finished doing something that just took a lot of your energy and, like, you know, a lot of your creative energy too. And bruh, like, that stuff is draining. You know, you go through a big project, you kind of got nothing after that. So, you know, but for me, to kind of help, like, spark something, for me, the best thing for me has just been getting around other people. Not even going in there to create, just going in there to just listen and hear things that are not in my head. You know what I mean? Because then that kind of sparks something. It'll catch, I might catch a vibe off of somebody else's, you know, like it might point me in a direction. Or like, oh, I never thought about, okay, well, maybe if I did such and such and such. You know, nothing is new anyway.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
I mean, let's be real. Like, you know, we're using the same chords, right?
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's how it's your interpretation of it.
Absolutely.
So a lot of times it's just being inspired by other creatives. That's what works best for me.
And I think another way too is, if at all possible, with the way that music has evolved and it's become more mobile, change your creation space.
Yeah.
Like, so like if you normally sitting like at my home space, there's a wall in front of where I am that has like all the records I've done. So you think about it, if you're looking at this wall every day, all day long, it gets boring after a while. So subconsciously, you might run into a writer's block because you're looking at the same thing. If you change your area, change your space, take your laptop and go sit at another table in the room, or go, you know, or just altogether take it and go somewhere else, sometimes that'll spark, you know, creativity. Or you might, you know, I've even heard certain colors. Like I've heard blue.
I'm about to say, yeah,
You know,
mood, like my lights in my studio, I have it just changed. So I can set a button on my phone, bang, and it just start going. And then on top of that, I usually just go through YouTube or whatever's first, YouTube or iTunes, click on the first random song, hit shuffle, and I start looking around, doing stuff, just let the music keep going. So it starts like just giving me different variations of stuff. The lights give me one thing, this music give me something else. And then I also have this thing, y'all don't judge me, but I have these things called Pops, Funko Pops. Everybody that come in my studio know I just order these little random things. They're little small bobbleheads. And they just got a variety of them that no cohesiveness at all. But it's just like I have them, and sometimes you know, if I'm in there creating by myself, I'll just look up and be like, you know what? Flash, you just gave me an idea. You know what? Simi, I just thought of something. You get, like, honestly, I did a track recently because of Simi from Coming to America. Like, it was just like something, and it was like the whole atmosphere kind of, I think it was like green light just wide up fading in. I look up, I see Simi, I'm like, I think I might want to give me some.
Right.